Hey guys, Jay-Sensei here again. This is going to be What If Ichigo went back in time. Before we begin, if you have anything to do, such as homework, gaming, chores, or jobs, do that while I talk. I'm meant to be listened to, not really watched. Now, also may need to reduce playback speed if I get to talk too fast. Also, just my words don't always come out fully, so if you have any questions about what I say, or just any questions about the video in general, comment them down below. Excuse me. Now, let's begin with the version of Ichigo that goes back in time. It's still going to be, well, a teenage Ichigo, but he'd be around 18. It's where I was wondering why I'm using 18-year-old Ichigo. I think this is the Ichigo that fully masters all the Shinigami abilities. Basically, he's a master of Ho-Ho, or a master of Shunpo, master of Hakuda, master of swordsmanship, complete mastery over his Zanpakuto abilities. Basically, he has Chushikai, all that. Basically, everything that would make Ichigo the perfect version of himself, he is. That's by the time he's 18. And when he goes back in time, it'd basically just be a random day. He'd be sitting in his house with Orihime, leans back, closes his eyes, opens them a second later, and he is no longer in, well, his 18-year-old body. He's no longer in 2004. He's back in, like, 2001. Or... yeah, 2001. Now, Ichigo awakens in his inner world. He remembers the scene. It's the time where he had first met Old Man Sangetsu. And pretty quickly, he thought this was a dream, so he was able to sense Reishi and realize he's truly in the past. Luckily, he's enough sci-fi to know he probably should not tell anyone he's from the future, in case he might alter the future. So Ichigo looks around, sees across the different buildings he's in his inner world, and sees White. So when White says his name, Ichigo doesn't recognize him, and he shouldn't have, but he does. Recognizes him as Old Man, aka Yuha, and he knows his name is Sangetsu. Old Man didn't know that Ichigo should not be able to say his name, but Ichigo simply just says, I read your lips. Old Man kind of snickers at that, and eventually Ichigo would actually hold out his hand, and Old Man's confused what he's doing until Ichigo's arm suddenly begins to, his body begins to activate Shinigami attire. With this, White would appear, as Ichigo unfortunately summoned him. Wondering what Ichigo's doing, until he simply just says, I have something to tell you both. And he tells these two about the future. Only these two. Because they're technically still him. White's just glad that Ichigo's a strong warrior, and Old Man's glad that he doesn't have to look after Ichigo. He's not a little boy anymore, and he knows this. With this, they both kind of fuse into Ichigo, and in both hands appear his true Shikai. He sheaths them, and his attire kind of looks how it does the Fullbringer arc, as his original clothes after this are Oken imbued, and he hasn't met the Zero Division, so there's really no need for Oken imbued clothing. I'm going to go clothes from the arc before that, the one with the gloves, all that, aka my favorite look. So, Ichigo appears out of his inner world, and his eyes are, like, one eye is, like, black and white, or, not black and white, but it's a typical hollow eye, but he quickly gets a bearing on that. And Urahara shocked that Ichigo's attire changed so drastically. Ichigo flared his Reishi, and Urahara almost just, like, he jumped back, feeling it. Wondering if this was still Ichigo. Ichigo nodded, pulling out his Zanpakuto, and said, these two try to hide from me, but luckily they couldn't. He smirks, and Urahara, sorry about that, you can just laugh, realizing that Ichigo is on a whole different level now. He can just tell. The Reishi alone makes him a transcended being. He's above even Nagamoto. So Urahara originally wanted to clash with Ichigo, but he just shook his head and says, it's no use to clash. You kill me. He smirks, sheathing his Zanpakuto, and he leaves, and tells Urahara that his Zanpakuto even helped him master Ho-Ho. He disappears, and Urahara just snickers. He doesn't want to say it's bullshit, but he knows that Ichigo's hiding something. Ichigo leaves from building to building until he gets to his father's clinic. When he arrives, he does give Ichigo the protective charm, but he tells his father he has no use for it. Plus, he knows it's not for him. He's going to use Ishin until Ichigo would summon, like, his Zanpakuto. He summons, like, basically just... he would quickly force Cone into take control, which is a huge Cone. And then, using a small sword, he shoves it right through Ishin's chest. Ishin's confused until Ichigo flares, like basically imbues him with Reishi. As Ichigo's returned to being, his Reishi levels are enough to stable in an entire realm. He can distribute a small amount that makes him on a captain level, which is enough for Ishin. Ishin isn't back at his full power, but he's around the 80% mark. Ishin feels this, and Ichigo just winks at him. Ishin asks him how he knew, and Ichigo just says, one of my Shinigami spirits was white, and he told me who you were. Which is a lie, but it's also not implausible, so... Yeah. So Ishin just kind of laughs at that, and says, well, at least I'm back at my full power. But eventually it comes down to going off to the Whole Society. Ishin does go with Ichigo, because he says, he used to be a member of the 10th Division. So he can probably handle that little portion. He actually does ask Ryukin to babysit Rukia, and Ryukin, upon seeing what Ishin plans to do, just says, sure, why not? Also, look after my son, so he doesn't get hurt. So, Ishin agrees to that, and eventually everyone heads to the Soul Society. Ichigo just denies going to the gate, saying that'd be a bit too troublesome. Ishin, Dad may be able to go, but the rest of us can't. Ishin saw logic in that, and Yoruichi, upon seeing everyone Ichigo wanting to play it smart, suggests Kukaku, Ishin's cousin. Like, oh yeah, she exists. They had Kukaku's shocked to see Ishin, but eventually just allowed them to use the cannon. Cannon's called, I believe, Kukaku Taiho. It's a fireworks cannon. Now, Ichigo's trying something to learn to control the Reishi, but meanwhile, Ichigo's actually training with Uryu. And tells Uryu his mom was a Quincy. Ichigo backs this up, and he asks Ichigo how he knew, and Ichigo just says, White told me everything. Which kind of makes Ishin laugh. That a hollow so open. So with this, Ichigo tells Uryu that he knows a few Quincy skills. He shows off Blute Vein, being a durability negation buff ability. He tells Uryu, so he basically starts teaching Uryu how to use Blute Vein and Blute Artery. But Ichigo knows how to use both of those. And he actually does over using Blute on Haben, and he just hasn't really had time to actually train that. He doesn't really use Blute too often when he's 18. But eventually, Ichigo and Uryu are ready to leave with their control Reishi with Ishin and Kukaku and Yoruichi's help. Pause. As they're flying through the air with the, pretty sure it's the Reishukaku, just flying through the air with that, Ichigo tells them that they should split up. This does spark a bit of abuse, wondering why, but Ichigo simply just tells them, and then because there's three of us who are plenty powerful to hold off various Shinigami. So we should divert all the attention to different areas. Ichigo simply points out, Yoruichi is probably an actual Shinigami, but disguised as a cat, which she poofs back in her normal uniform, which just makes Ishin throw his captain's cloak over her. So he puts that on, and Ichigo just tells them that Yoruichi can divert attention one way, Ishin can divert it one way, Ichigo will go after Rukia, and his friends can be miniature distractions. Everyone sees logic in that, so with this, Ichigo would immediately just crush the Reishukaku like he has his hand on the diverting power, but decides to just crush it. With that quick nod from everyone, they're blasted all across this whole society. Ganju is still with Ichigo, but Ishin decides to stick with Uryu to look after, Ryuken's son like he promised. And Yoruichi decides to tag along with Chad, because Ishin is with Orihime and Uryu. Now with this, Ichigo lands, he's still met by Ikkaku. But when Ikkaku would go into a Shikai, all Ichigo does is just hold out a single finger, try to a bit of Reishi, and he flicks he flicks Ikkaku through a few buildings. I said Kukaku, then I said not Ikkaku. I messed that up. But yeah, he flicks Ikkaku through a building by charging a bit of Reishi and then flicking him. Because, Ikkaku is barely even lieutenant level at this point. Now, Ichigo flicking Ikkaku too hard actually sparked a bit of attention from other Shinigami, but Ichigo would eventually meet up with Ganju. They still get surrounded, But Ichigo would quickly just vanishes, not even taking Hinataro. But accidentally Hinataro had latched onto him. He didn't even try to, he just kind of happened by fate. They're stuck with Hinataro, and he does offer to show them Rukia's cell. But Ichigo's being nice to the point where Hinataro kind of offered it as like a courtesy. Oh. Alright, sorry about that. So Hinataro still leads them to Rukia, Ichigo pretending he doesn't remember the way to his best friend's cell. But then eventually, as they leave, he's still confronted by Renji. But when he comes out, Renji still comes at him using, Zabimaru. But Ichigo just knows this Renji isn't as strong as, before. So Ichigo holds out one hand, and with very quick slaps, he just backhands and forehands Renji over 100 times in the span of a second. Renji wobbled back, holding his face, before just fainting. Ichigo would catch him, and then he takes Zabimaru from his hand. He just tells Ganju and Hinataro to make sure the coast is clear. They do so, and Ichigo would grab Renji's hand, put it on the hilt of Zabimaru, and Ichigo would hold on to Renji's hand and Zabimaru as he flows Reishi into it. And he can't really go into the realm of Zabimaru and Renji. He simply just conveys one message. You can trust him. As Renji's Zanpakuto does not trust him at all. But if an enemy simply just telling the Zanpakuto that Renji's trustworthy, that does actually spark a bit of trust in the Zanpakuto itself. So, what else? So after this, Ichigo does eventually make his way up to Rukia, and Ichigo doesn't need to take time off to recover. He's fine, actually. Hasn't been hurt at all. Meanwhile, Ishin had actually, they found the whole Aizen thing immediately, and Ishin, upon finding Toshiro and trying to comfort Momo, Ishin appeared behind, Rangiku, who had also arrived, and appeared behind basically all three of them. They turn around feeling their presence, and they see Ishin. Toshiro's didn't recognize them all the way. Rangiku immediately hugged him, realizing who it is. Immediately. Ishin tells them why he's there, and he particularly heals Momo. Using Kaido. But he tells them why he's there, and what's going on. He tells them everything that he needs to. He doesn't know Ichigo from the future. He just says, yeah, my son's a Shinigami. He tells him about his life in a very quick, kind of a quick update. From this first time in Karakura Town all the way into, now. And honestly, Toshiro is kind of mad that Ishin broke so many rules, but Rangiku just tells Toshiro, are you really surprised? You've known Ishin for so long, that the point where if you put him in this scenario, you would have guessed he would take this outcome. Toshiro just says, yeah, you have a point, honestly. I'm a stickler, kind of what Toshiro is just saying. As I said, alright, but the gist of it is, I'm a stickler and you know this. I know Ishin would have done this regardless, but I still don't like it. So, yeah. He also just tells him that his son is the one who made him as strong as he is now. He just tells him what happened with that. And he tells him that he has a lot more Reishi to spare, too. And just tells him overall, no captain can stand up to his amount of Reishi, or Reiatsu. So he simply tells them, if you really want to do your job, don't let anyone get in his way, and make sure if they are, make sure they don't die. So, his only advice, don't get anyone in his way killed. That's about it. But eventually we go to Ichigo, who's basically now kind of just pulling Rukia out of her cell, as he had basically made his way to the tower, taking out everyone without even drawing his Zanpakuto. In fact, he just brought it from Shikai all the way back to his base state, where it's just a really long, normally basically just kind of an Odachi. But as he makes his way out, he's confronted by the 6th Division and the 11th. He already knew this was going to be a bit troublesome, so he's just Rukia, don't get in the way. And he kind of pushed her back inside and shut the door. Byakuya tried to blow Ichigo, but he quickly ducked Byakuya's attack, as he's a lot faster than Byakuya is, no matter how skilled he is with Ho-Ho. With Ichigo ducked, Kenpachi tried to stab Ichigo from above, but Ichigo blew out his hand, grabbing Nozarashi mid-air and holding Kenpachi up by it, and just tells him he's not strong enough to handle him right now. And he swings Kenpachi around by Nozarashi, slamming him into Byakuya, sending them both flying away. But then as Kenpachi tries to recover, Nozarashi is shoved clean through his chest, and then into Byakuya's stomach, pinning them both to the ground by Kenpachi's blade. And Ichigo really shouldn't be able to wield a Zanpakuto like this, but physically, he's basically unmatched at this point in the story. Not unmatched, but Definitely one of the basically everything about him is kind of at the top of the verse at this point. Ichigo definitely isn't stronger than Yuha, but he's above basically every Sternoter. Like, only person above him right now is Yuha, and sulking technically. But Ichigo has a lot more room to grow at this point in his life, so he's able to grow faster than usual. So he's able to pick up his own Pakta, but he's not able to wield it. He usually just did like one quick move, and that's about it. With this, he pinned down Byakuya and Genpachi using Nozarashi. And with the rest of their divisions, he just held out one hand and tried to put Sero and basically just blasted the entire division, or both divisions, and just scattering them with that one blast. Once they're scattered, he eventually tries to make his way out, but he just sees the body of Aizen. It's only been like maybe an hour maximum that they've been in this whole society. So Aizen's body is still strung up. So Ichigo would jump down and still in his base state, but he used Ho-Ho to travel across a vast distance all the way until he gets to where everyone is met up. The entire 10 divisions run Ishin all laid out, but Toshiro is panting as Ishin is also panting and has a bit of blood on him. And Uryu is just behind him, and he was just told to not fight. Ishin does eventually collapse, and when Toshiro tries to make a move on, Uryu, because Toshiro still trying to do his job, he has to fight them still. Ichigo appears just next to him and just neck chops him and just knocking Toshiro out. And Ishin gets back up pretty quickly, but Ichigo kind of asks him what's going on. And Ishin talks about Aizen. Ichigo pretends to look in on it real closely and just says, that's a Gi guy, or just an illusion. Or in fact, Ichigo hasn't really seen Aizen Bakto, so he would not see this. So, at this point, only people who, so Ichigo would arrive, Aizen's body still strung up, nearby would be the 10th Division because, 10th and 4th, because of Aizen's corpse, so to say. Uryu doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. He just thinks that it's a coincidence. Uryu has not seen Aizen before, so he can't see if this is Kyoko's Suigetsu. So Ishin had fought the divisions because, they kind of have to. He's a deserter, and now intruder. Plus, he has a Quincy with him. So, Ishin fought them all, and as long as he was kind of losing to Unohana and Toshiro, but he beat the rest of the other divisions. Uryu didn't really step in too much. Ichigo arrives, neck chops Toshiro. Unohana is able to kind of just realize where she's in over her head. And Ichigo kind of asks them, why they gathered here specifically. As either Aizen's body would be a Gi guy, or unlikely, I'm pretty sure it was actually Kyoko's Suigetsu, but even then, Ichigo just... He would not be affected by this version of Kyoko's Suigetsu. So let's say it is Kyoko's Suigetsu, Uryu's confused. Ishin has seen it before. So he sees the body of Aizen. In fact, everyone does. But when Ichigo kind of says, he doesn't see a body. He doesn't even punches where the body should be, and the illusion just scatters, because Ichigo cannot see where Aizen is. Gin and Tosin have been watching nearby and realize their bluff has been called, so immediately they tell Aizen what happened. Now, Aizen has been nearby watching this and was shocked that Ichigo called him out on it. In fact, he's shocked how strong Ichigo is. His plans are being thrown in the mud. As he does lead to Ichigo actually finding Aizen pretty quickly, and he draws Gin, Aizen, and Tosin all to one spot. Aizen wants to know how Ichigo will catch them, and she starts telling them, "Oh, what you plan on doing?" And proceeds to make a joke detailing every bit of Aizen's plan from now until the end of Fate Karakura Town. They say it's like a mock joke, but he doesn't go into the specific. He kind of just make broad details, like, "What are you gonna do? Assemble all the strongest hollows to fight against the Shinigami." Aizen's trying to be confused and just says, "Yeah, exactly that. How the fuck did you know that? You're not smart enough to do that. I am. Or Ohara, maybe. Not you. You're dumb as fuck." So with this, after Ichigo kind of lays out that little bit of detail, Yamamoto had arrived, and is basically now ready to throw hands with Aizen and Ichigo. But Ichigo just tells him he's here to actually vouch for Rukia and not really break her out. He was actually planning on pleading her case, not escaping. Which had shocked everyone. He was actually here to plead her case, not actually break her out. He also just facepalm saying, "A simple conversation for that would have done so instead of just fighting." He says, "Do you want me to beat up your gate guard?" It kind of led to a whole side argument of just if I beat up your gate guard, you would have attacked your guard. There's no way of me getting in here without the fight starting. I just took a very stealthy route and then beat up 2 people. Well, not 2 people. Beat up 2 people, then got attacked by 2 captains, beat them, and impaled them. Blasted never mind. This could have been a lot more peaceful, definitely. But let's say this route. But eventually it does lead to Aizen leaving peacefully, because either that or he kills a lot of Shinigami while escaping Ichigo. Ichigo could have beaten him, but he would have killed a lot of Shinigami. Well, if you guys are wondering what Ichigo can do right now from all his prior abilities, so his Ryatsu control is basically just novice canonically, but at this point, Ichigo's is at this point mastered. He's mastered his immeasurable power. So yeah, when people above him currently, or in his time, would have been Aizen and Yuha. Ichigo at this point is basically only rivaled by Yuha. In fact, maybe not even, because Yuha is still recovering his power. At this point, he's the strongest being in the universe. Currently, he is. He still has enhanced growth rate, durability, all that. But he's a master Canadian combat user. Spiritual awareness is pinnacle. Swordsmanship, mastered. Shunpo, mastered. He doesn't know base Kido. He just need to use them because why would he? His sword is True Zangetsu. He has every version of it needed. So True Zangetsu, all that. And he does have his Zanpakuto, or his Bankai Tensei Zangetsu, the giant sword. He still has that. But also, he has his mastered holification form. He can basically merge his Hollow and Shinigami forms, where he can just basically use his mask, or he can go into his Horn of Salvation mode, which he can do pretty easily. He can do it in base. Also, you can fire off Seros, Grand Ray Seros, basically every kind of Sero imaginable he can use. And it's pretty easy for him to do so. And for Fullbringer, he has really nothing he's attached to, so he can do shit like Bringer Light, but he has no affinity for an object right now, so he needs to wait and be given the amulet or the badge to be able to become a Fullbringer, or at least use the Fullbringer abilities. In terms of abilities, Ichigo can basically use. So, Ichigo can use base Kido easily. He mastered Hakuda. He's mastered Ho-Ho in every sense of the word. As for Quincy ability, he can use Hirin-Kyaku, Blue Artery, and Blue Vein pretty easily. As for Hollows, also Hollow abilities, he can use Sero Doble, which I believe is absorbing and firing off a mouth blast. Grand Ray Sero Oscuras, and then pretty sure it's La Miata, which is basically just Oscuras is a finger blast, Miata is an eye blast. You can use that. And then you can also use Sonido and Hiero, which are pretty easy abilities for him to use. So durability amp is Hiero. For Fullbringer, you can use Bringer Light, which is just another form of high-speed movement. He has Shinigami Power Fusion, which he can do in base. In fact, he has already done, well, likely. Then the power transference is what he did to Ishin. He basically transferred some power to him and it amplified him. So yeah, that's basically all of Ichigo's abilities currently. And he's still growing. In fact, his growth rate is even higher because he's basically in his youngest form. So, after this, we move on into basically the end of the Shinigami arc. And Rukia's case is pled. And even actually kind of made a bit of vouch in a line. After Ishin gave his statement to him while he has been gone so long. But Ishin basically tells his story kind of a point blank of Rukia didn't really give me Reishi, as his Shinigami Spirits basically told him he was awakening his power early on. All she did is just the speed of it. So he's already advancing, she just made it faster. She didn't really give any of her power. So this kind of made up a lie that it kind of made sense to a lot of people, but only people who didn't believe it were Unohana, Byakuya, Yamamoto, and Mayuri. Those are the 4 who didn't believe it, but everyone else believed the case. Byakuya, he lied, and so did Unohana. They lied, saying they did believe it, but Yamamoto and Mayuri were the only 2 who didn't believe it, and eventually that kind of led to a majority thing of Rukia being allowed back as to have her job as a Shinigami. It's been a week in close society with Ishin basically bonding with his squad once more, but also Ichigo being able to actually tell White's story. He's in a line saying, "Oh yeah, I have White's memories, all that." This tells them everything about Aizen and what happened. Actually led to them kind of realizing, like, oh shit, the ones we banished didn't really need to be banished. So with that, with White's story as, truth, kind of, Urahara, Yoruishi, Tessai, and the Visors are all allowed to come back. It'll take a while for them to be found, the Visors, supposedly, but eventually they're allowed back in. Because Ichigo kind of called for a trial, so everything came out in that trial, as I just said. Which Aizen did not expect to happen so early. The point where their divisions that were abandoned immediately get their old captains back. Which the only person who had problems with this were Shuhei, Komamura, and Momo. Literally just those three. Those are only three had problems with this. Maybe Izuru. Maybe. So 4. So for anything, not really many issues. Pause. Now, during the week, Ishin bonded with the squad. The captains are reinstated. The captains being, I'm going to go with all the current captains now. Would be Yamamoto, still captain of First Division. Yoruichi, when it came to her division and Second Division, so everyone actually offers up to be a co-captain with her. Like, they can basically just be 2 captains. That did lead to a bit of contention for Yamamoto, as he was just wondering if they should be allowed. But the Shihoin clan basically said she's not going to be welcome back as the clan head. Her brother is the current clan head, so she has nothing better to do. So Yamamoto realizing that she basically would have no place other than the second division, she is allowed to become the co-captain. So it's basically a dual captain squad. Rojiro basically returns as the captain of the 3rd division. Unohana is still captain of the 4th. Shinji reclaims his old spot in the 5th. But he also studies with Mayuri and Urahara a lot more frequently now, because he kind of has to negate Aizen's possible altered plans. Byakuya, still 6th division. Komamura, still 7th. Shunsui, still 8th. But Lisa actually joins in and becomes his second lieutenant, as he now has 2 in Nanao and, Lisa. Kensei reclaims the 9th, and this leads to him having 2 lieutenants as well, in Shuhei and Mashiro. Toshiro is still captain of the 10th, Rangiku is still the lieutenant, and Ishin is basically their occasional, he kind of drops in from time to time to train with them. Eventually he does return his 100% power, so. Kenpachi is still captain of the 11th, but Ichigo basically guided him on how to talk to Zanpakuto. So basically, he basically understood how Kenpachi did it in canon, but he kind of wants Unohana to live. So he's giving him brief hints on how to talk to Zanpakuto. Excuse me. Mary and Urahara. Yamamoto himself actually said that these 2 should go captain after his decision with Yoruichi and Soifon. So they didn't even want to. Yamamoto just told them they had to. So yeah, and Tessai is also a lieutenant. Because the Kido Corps already has their own new head, so Tessai had nowhere to go. And Ukitake gives Ichigo his Shinigami badge. And Ichigo actually asked about, were there anyone before me? He just kind of goad about Ginjo. And Ukitake would not lie to Ichigo. He'd just tell him straight up about Ginjo. But with 2 skewed versions, he just tells Ukitake, is there any way he could have been, misled? Ukitake says, possibly, but I don't know by who or how, but I feel bad that he was. So Ichigo will select the Shinigami badge. Would already know it's not a tracker or anything like that. He knows it's fine. Also, with his own affinity for it, he would awaken his Fullbringer abilities, which does surprise everyone. He tells them not what a Fullbringer is. He tells them how he did it. But with this, we move on, and Aizen's plans, for some reason, he just doesn't know why, but they don't have much change. Reason being that with the Hogoku, it kind of grants the user whatever its desires. Aizen's desire would basically be a challenge, and he is being challenged by Ichigo, so he should let his plans play out to see how will Ichigo affect his plans if he already knows them. Suppose Ichigo said it in a mocking way, where Aizen didn't really believe Ichigo knew his plans. He thought it was a joke. So Aizen's kind of played, but by himself. He's overthinking Ichigo's entire thing. He thinks Ichigo's maybe playing around, which he was, at the same time he wasn't. Due to this, Aizen's like, oh, he was messing around, playing. He doesn't really know how strong the Espada are. They're weak to me, but he doesn't know how strong these guys really are. So his plans could be changed. He's just too fucking stupid to do so at this point. He basically causes mental distress, and the Hogoku's enhancing that because he's being challenged, and he wants that, yet at the same time he doesn't. So with a bunch of just, I'm not, basically just he overthought, and now it's killing him. So yeah. Now, back in the human realm, Uryu, to use, to kind of mess me up, Ryuken and Uryu were talking, and Uryu actually just requests to train him a bit more, as he then discovers that Ichigo knows Blood Vein and Blood Artery. Basically, asks his father to teach him those, or at least enhance them, and Ryuken can do that. Ichigo's actually training to learn Blue Onhabin, thinking it'd be a very useful ability to have in the future, so he's training to accomplish it. Meanwhile, Renji is training with his Zanpakuto, and his Zanpakuto seems a bit nicer to him. In fact, he seems a bit stronger because of that. Ichigo kind of told him that with his Zanpakuto spirits, all he did is kind of just talk to them. He didn't really need to do much more than that. Renji's actually making an effort to just talk to his Zanpakuto, not even argue with them. Ichigo tells him, just talk. Don't argue, don't do anything, just talk. Which is annoying Renji, but his Zanpakuto are present, Renji's kind of just letting them be themselves. So Renji's slowly gaining the trust of his Zanpakuto over time, with Ichigo's influence still in the Zanpakuto, of him just saying, trust him. Those words are always echoing with his Zanpakuto spirits, or with Zabimaru, so they're slowly trusting him. They're giving him hints on what their name truly is. And once you figure out the hints, their trust will be earned, and their full power will be unlocked. Now, Kenpachi, Unohana, Resident Kenpachi, trying to make an effort to train, with his Zanpakuto, especially his Zanpakuto, jumps in to help train him. But now we go on to when Yami and Ulquiorra arrive in the human realm. This one shows using a bit of his Fullbringer power to actually gift power to Chad, as Orihime can't really get any of the power. They're both, with Ichigo and Chad both being Fullbringers. Chad was given basically a Fullbringer, basically the complete Fullbringer like arsenal. So immediately with this, Chad is actually able to fight at his full power, or at a full power. As he's basically as strong as he is now in the Fullbringer arc, just no really control. He's probably not as strong as Yami, but it will push Yami back when he first encounters and fights him. So with this, Chad is still eventually injured, and Orihime is able to heal him, but Ichigo, well, he probably gave Chad power, which is how Chad fights Yami. But when Ichigo finally arrives, Yami goes in for another punch, but Ichigo pulls out a single finger, blocks Yami's punch, and in the same instant would just flick Yami's fist into basically just a bloody pulp. Like, he basically, the flick erased his fist, or evaporated it, or blew it up. Ulquiorra jump in, wrestling Yami's in over his head now, even if he went all out, and tries to land punch on Ichigo. But Ichigo will pretty easily just duck and just chop Ulquiorra right across the face and then flying back. And his face is very obviously like mangled because of this. Like, his nose broken and skull kind of cracked, so he's healing slowly. So Ulquiorra immediately just created a portal and just told Yami they had to leave. And Yami, saying that Ulquiorra's deadly serious, leaves. This is Chad that how easily Ichigo handled those two, but asked Ichigo, how strong did you make me? Because I know for a fact that guy could have killed me if I wasn't as strong, if I didn't get power from you. Ichigo just tells him, you're strong. Doesn't even just tell him how strong, he just says, you're strong. But then eventually this does lead to the Ghost 13 having an expeditionary force arrive in the human realm, and then still Toshiro and the usual group. I'm pretty sure it's Toshiro, Rangiku, Rukia, and Ikaku. I think that's the group. But eventually, the Sector car, led by Grimmjow, still invade Karakura Town. And Orihime is still taken, reluctantly. Ichigo kind of thought she wouldn't be taken, but she still is, even if Ichigo is stronger. Pause. But the fights. So when it came to D-Roy Rinker versus Chad pretty easily dealt with him. Like, they're relatively equal, but D-Roy kind of got in over his head and died in the fight. Chad was a bit beaten up, but he won. When we came to Ichigo versus Grimmjow, Ichigo is winning this fight easily. I was wondering how easily. Grimjo's yet to land a punch. Ichigo has not drawn his Zanpakuto yet. He's basically just using hand-to-hand combat alone and bodying Grimjo with minimal effort. Eventually, he's holding Grimjo by the neck and just simply asks him, "Do you like serving under Aizen?" Grimjo's wondering what Ichigo's doing. Ichigo simply just says, if you can betray Aizen, I'll give you a serious fight. You can go all out, and I'll show you how strong I am, or how strong I need to get to beat your full power. Grimjo was spit up blood and laughing at the mercy. He's basically at someone's mercy, but the deal, honestly, is something he cannot decline. So he agrees. Ichigo, he does not want to be part of Aizen's group. So he actually he's let down, and he scratches out level number 6 in his body. Again, he just scratches it until it's nothing there, like just pure blood. With this, Ichigo asks him, Can you bring me to Hueco Mundo? I need to do something there. This does intrigue Grimjo, and he asks him, what are you going to do then? He says, a hollow I fought slipped up about 3 people. And so that's about, what 3 people? He just says, fuck off, and bring me to Hueco Mundo. Just easy as that. Fuck off. So Grimjo kind of just scoffs that Ichigo's hiding secrets, and Ichigo's a bad liar to Grimjo, but he just says, "Fuck it, we're gonna fight. I'm gonna ask more questions." So Ichigo's brought to Mundo, and using a bit of sense of inspiration in the air, he eventually is able to find who he's looking for. And with a very quick Kikiso plus Onito, he would appear right behind Neliel, Donchaka, and Pesce. Wonder who he is, but Grimjo tells Grimjo, portal. When it opens it, and the 3 are kicked through the portal. They walk through it, and eventually Donchaka and Pesce are ready to fight for Neliel, but each of them just says he's recruiting forces to fight against Aizen, and he thinks they could help. Grimjo asks how, and he lifts up Neliel's shirt a bit, showing off the letter 3 on her stomach. But not enough to, look weird, because she's still in child form, says, 3. Shit, Nell? He didn't really know her, but he's aware of who she was. Donchaka and Pesce ask him, how do you know this? Hollow slipped up when I was fighting it, I guess. They shrug, believing it. Grimjo doesn't, but he's honestly no place to believe anything, or disbelieve it, so, But eventually, Ichigo does go to Soul Society, and asks Urahara's help for a ban for Neliel. And Urahara just says, sure, why not? And Mary be working on one as well. And then eventually Shinji just gives him some advice on how hollows work, so his input actually helps. And pretty quickly, because Ichigo's kind of dropped hints on what the band should do, they get the job done a lot faster. Like Pesce and Donchaka, their own bands, going back to their Ronkar forms. So with this is those 3 basically going to full power, and it's by will. But by this point, it's beginning of the Hueco Mundo arc, so Grimjo still be having betrayed Soul Society, and willingly, but it's a very obvious thing that he did, so everyone's aware of him betraying them. Or through the Espada are aware of that. At the beginning of the arc, Ichigo does recruit a squad consisting of Renji, Rukia, Ichigo, Chad, Uryu. That's the 5. And he simply says, only these 5 need to be here. Well, and Neliel, but yeah. Alright, portal's opened, and they all jump into Hueco Mundo. Ichigo just basically glides around, being able to go wherever he wants to. Rukia and a stronger Renji eventually are able to find Rununaga, I believe, Runuganga, the sand thing. That's the first opponent they encounter. Renji will charge up his Zabimaru, being a bit stronger, and one attack takes down the sand motherfucker. Easily as that, one attack. But eventually confronted by Robona and his Exquisas, whatever they're called. So it's basically Renji and Rukia versus them. So when it comes to Yami, well, Neliel was already at full power, and just already knows she's to fight. So she first thought it's going to be Noitra until Ichigo talked about Yami. And after a bit of talking with Grimjo, and they learn about Yami's power. Yami is eventually going to be Neliel's opponent. Well, Pesce and Donchaka are going to help. But First, they do encounter the Pre-Verona Spada first, but Ichigo can pretty easily deal with them on his own, and he did so. Well, Chad helped too, but yeah. But eventually, the Pre-Verona Spada are beaten by Ichigo and Chad. We get into Luffy. Uryu fought Luffy first, and is a hold off Luffy and actually fight not on par, but to a decent degree until Grimmjow arrived, moved behind Luffy and just tore their head off, which is like something would just yank and pull, easy as that. We came down to Neutra and that fight. Well, Uryu actually distract Neutra. Chad helps, and as Neutra's ready to kill them. Well, from behind, he's impaled through the chest by a full-power Grimmjow. Neutra's put up blood, trying to recover, but he's already off-guarded. Once, he's off-guarded even more by Chad going on full power with Lamote through the side of his head, which doesn't knock him out or anything, but he's kind of dazed. And blue artery from Uryu does damage. He's already big wound in the back from Grimmjow. And with one more attack, before he can go into his full power, or Resurrection, his throat is then cut by Grimmjow's claws, and then he bleeds out in the sand, dying. So with that that's basically the end of Neutra. But Yami and Nelson will be the next fight. So with that, when it came down to Yami finding Nell, or her finding him, they do have a small scuffle, and she's pretty easily handling him. Donchaka and Pesce even throwing their own attacks, and that handles him even more. But when he does go all out, Nell shows off her own full power, and within basically just this fight with everyone else, it does lead to not the defeat, but a very grave injury of Yami, and it took a lot of power. They eventually all revert back to their weakest forms, Yami basically being on the ground, barely alive. But a portal opens up above Yami, and out steps Mayuri and Nemu. And so Yami calling him just like, who the fuck are you? Cuts his head off and keeps walking, with Nemu kind of laughing. Not Nemu, Nell kind of laughing at that. Mayuri pokes the band with his katana, recharging it, allowing Nell to go back to her full power after giving her a bit of a ratio by poking the band. Here's the same for Pesce and Donchaka. They get back up. And Mayuri would arrive simply because he thinks that he doesn't work. He just doesn't need to be in fake Karakura Town right now. He has nothing better to do. So he goes up to fight, and eventually comes across Zai's Loporo. And Orihime at this point is just kind of watching, but she just tells Mayuri she can help him, as she can just kind of reverse any damage done. So Mayuri's like, oh, interesting, got it. So he doesn't even need to reverse all his organs. He just needs Orihime, and it'll work out in his favor. Nemu currently is in fake Karakura Town because she can fight. For Eronero, and what was the other motherfucker's name? Zomari and Eronero plus Okiura. Ichigo fights them, and it's a pretty simple fight for him. The first two, Eronero and Zomari jumped. They jumped Ichigo. Ichigo effortlessly dealt with them, and he used one of his two swords, as he's still in his true Shikai form. He kind of went all out, kind of all out for this fight. He went half power. So using half power, he pretty easily just deals with using the bigger of his true Shikai, bigger blade of his two, and in one slash each, they're killed. Okiura went all out trying to charge Ichigo. Ichigo was charged a Grand Racer at the tip of his sword, and Okiura is met with the blast at point-blank range. Okiura is badly wounded. Ichigo was a bit more power output, and when she's able to actually pin down Okiura with his blade in Okiura's chest, or say shoulder, asks Okiura if he's really willing to die here. Okiura sighs and just says, "Yes, I am." Ichigo says he can respect it, but just in time, Ringo would walk over and just says, "I can't." And with one full force stomp, a shockwave is emitted, and we see Okiura's head is just a puddle under Grimmjow's foot. He slumps down against the wall, telling Ichigo, "Come back and fight me when Aizen's dealt with. I'll wait here." But Ichigo says, "No, you won't." With that, Neliel and everyone else arrives, a portal is opened, and everyone walks through in fake Karakura Town. Orihime heals everyone so they're back at their full power. At this point, the ones who are fighting Aizen consist of... Hold up. That would be Yamamoto and his lieutenant, basically just Yamamoto, Chojuro, a few others. Yuichi, Soifone, Omaida, and probably even actually Yushiro, because his sister's here. Then we have Irojiro and Izuru, Unohana and Isane, Shinji and Momo, Byakuya and Renji, who's actually a bit stronger, as Renji had jumped through the portal with them, as him and Rukia handled their fights pretty easily, actually. So stronger Renji and Byakuya, Komamura and Iba, Shunsui, Lisa, and Nanao, Kensei, Mashiro, and Shuhei, Toshiro, Rangiku, and Ishin. Ishin's here from the start. Kenpachi, Ikaku, Yachiru, Yumachika, all of them. Meiri, Urahara, Tessai, and Akon. But he's probably Akon's actually more of a scientist, so he's probably in Soul Society still, actually. Gutake and Rukia. This is basically all Shinigami. Well, then Ichigo, Chad, Uryu, and Grimjow, Neliel, Donachaka, and Pesce arrive. And with that group, I can see Harrybell seeing like this group arriving, and it's also honestly kind of like not surprised, but realizing that more Hollows are uniting against Aizen than with him. Harrybell realizing that like she's still a Hollow person, like not a Hollow person, but a Hollow who's more aligned with other Hollows than Aizen. Plus, she's kind of more of a feminist. So seeing Neliel against Aizen kind of sways her. So, upon seeing this, actually whips who's blocking Toshiro's attack, and just tells him, just asks him if the orange-haired boy is on his side. And Toshiro says, yeah, that's kind of his friend, to say. Ishin says, yeah, he's my son. He was fighting Harrybell with Toshiro. She nods and just says, I will abandon Aizen. She ho-hos next, no, not ho-hos, but Sonny goes next to Nell and asks her, why she's fighting against Aizen. Nell kind of just hugs Ichigo, explains her reason for fighting, and the Trespecius would immediately change sides, because Harrybell does too. And Aeon is currently not even beaten yet, so he's fine. So this, with Aeon being swayed now, they're all against Aizen. Start realizing that all of its allies are betraying Aizen, except for, like, Berrigan. And actually, even Berrigan has to switch sides, because he's having more fun fighting against Aizen than with him. Even just simply says, if everyone's betraying Aizen, I'll do it too. I fucking hate that guy. So, Berrigan betrays him, and leads to Stark and just saying, fuck it, I guess so. Like, me and Chun-Li says, if they're on your side, I guess I am too. And he shrugs, and basically everyone uniting against Aizen except for Tozen and Gin. Then when Aizen is not even in his like fully white body form, he's basically just in his base Shinigami state with the white coat. He's still in that state, and Tozen doesn't go all out trying to fight, but Komamura jumps in with Shuhei, and they handle that fight. So now it's just Gin and Aizen. But from behind, Gin still does the whole like attack that he hit Aizen with in canon, but Aizen is a bit weaker than that version. Like he's dealt a lot more damage with that attack. So now it's just Aizen. He turns around kind of shocked, but then everyone jumps in, and all running with full power, and being jumped, Aizen loses. Even if he were to try to escape, Bankai Isho will kill that man in one slash. So yeah, one way or another, Aizen loses. And Gin actually survives. Tozen is not dead, he's imprisoned. Because, honestly, it was literally just a whole other fight going on while Komamura and Shuhei handled him. And Tozen's imprisoned, alongside Aizen. Berrigan dies fighting Aizen, but he dealt a lot of damage to him. Excuse me. So it basically ends the fight with Aizen, with him and Tozen being imprisoned. Berrigan dies in the end, but he still did good. Harrybell becomes the queen of Mundo. Yeah. We'll go on what happened in the 17 months between end of Fate Karakura Town and the beginning of the what was it, of the fake card, not fake card, lost agent arc, I believe, that arc. What was it? Oh yeah. So we go on into what happens in those 17 months. Yamamoto has both arms. He trains more often, and he's still in. He trains more often. In fact, he's helping Toshiro get stronger. As Toshiro is still using his Bankai. In fact, with Ishin's help, Ishin simply tells him, Ishin even got him Yamamoto telling him, like, with your Bankai, you should get help from someone who can actually stop your Bankai from getting overwhelming. But Toshiro is training with Yamamoto, actually. And Toshiro actually trains with them as well, to further hone his own Bankai. With Hiroichi and Soifone, they train together in the division very, very frequently. And Yushiro jumps in as Yoruichi's vice captain. So two vice captains in this division, one for each captain. And they both achieved the power levels they had in the 1,000-year Blood War, just because of how often they train. Rojiro helped Isuru achieve Bankai. Rojiro trains the Espada sometimes, because all the Espada, except for Espada. So the ones who are alive currently consist of Stark, Grimjow, and Harrywell. So 3 of the 8. But, how do I phrase this? They kind of all united Hueco Mundo, so they're all on pretty decent terms. So Roger, the Visor, and Ichigo all train with the Espada sometimes. So with this, Roger learned Grand Race Arrow, like he can just charge up a Grand Race Arrow. It doesn't take up a lot of ratio, he's able to do it. So he's actually a bit stronger than Ganon now. But I'll compare him to like that's your Blood War counterpart, actually. Let's say that. Unohana trains with Kenpachi more often because he's training a lot more often to hone Nosarashi, which he learned the name of. But he has no Shikai just yet. In fact, Unohana's given an order by Yamamoto to not allow him to achieve it yet, but to teach him how to properly use a sword, basically teach him proper Zanjutsu. Unohana rocks her usual look with the hair down now, and has a few dozen more scars from Kenpachi. And her usual personality is kind of combined with her fake personality, so she's very much a different person to everyone, but she's definitely a bit more cool. Also, Sana's a bit stronger because she joins in occasionally with Yachiru and Ikaku doing the same thing. Shinji does the same as Rojiro, training with the Espada and Gran Racero, all that. He also studies with Mayuri and Orohara frequently. But she does enhance his hollow power because of those two experimenting with him. He's in fact a lot stronger than most hollows, point where he has a merged power effect, very similar to Ichigo's Point of Salvation. But Shinji is a bit weaker, but his power overall is greatly enhanced. Ryoku got stronger, Renji achieved so Ozabimaru since he trained more often, and Ichigo actually eggs him on. But also, the final part, him and Rukia are dating early because Ichigo played Cupid. So he played Cupid, and those two got together. So Renji has so Ozabimaru early on because he's actually more communicative with his own plateau. Kuromura is confronting Kanon because she has a good relationship with Kenpachi and Kensei, because Ichigo kind of encouraged that. Plus, Kenpachi is more dedicated to training, which Kuromura respects. So he jumps in. Also, Kensei being able to more kind of replace Tosen. He trains with Kensei more often than not, because Kensei trains a lot with Shuhei. So that's kind of a good relationship between two divisions that all train a lot. And Shuhei at this point is also on the verge of achieving Bankai, because how often he trains with Kuromura as well. Trunsui, or with his division at least. Lisa did the same thing as Rojiro and Shinji, being able to train with. Being able to train with Espada. But because Shunsui turned to Stark trains with those two a lot, and then that doesn't train with the Espada. But yeah, but Lisa had also achieved Bankai on her own. So. Though they'll train Stark a lot, like because even this is the Soul Society. Look at Mundo and Soul Society all kind of have a pact going on right now. They're kind of chill, or at least the the sentient ones are, the ones who with minds who can decipher if they really want to fight or not. Kensei and Mashiro. Shuhei and Mashiro are Shuhei and Mashiro are on the verge of achieving Bankai, but also Kensei had actually been modified by Shinji, Mayuri, and Urahara. Also, Hiyori was too. I forgot about that. She's also merged. Kensei, Shinji, and Hiyori are all merged with their hollow powers. You're just kind of like Ichigo's Horn of Salvation, but they're not as strong. But also, Hiyori has Bankai. I should say that as well. But yeah, so basically every Visored except for Mashiro achieved Bankai or got stronger. Toshiro, or basically the 10th division. Ishin has by a lot showing at the group. Also, Yuzu and Karin dropped by a lot with Ishin, so they're actually aware of the division, and Karin is pretty chill with Toshiro. Toshiro masters his adult form due to Yamamoto affected his master, like it's completely mastered, all that, easy. Rangiku was on the verge of Bankai. Gin joined this division and married Rangiku, so that's already a pretty solid thing. But also, Gin is also currently kind of a secondary vice captain to Toshiro. And whenever Ishin comes by, they all kind of count him as like a co-captain. That's a new system they have there. But yeah. What else? 11th edition. Kenpachi does have Shika. He does not use it. He kind of hides it because he already knows that Unohana is preventing him from using it. So he hides it, pretending he does not have it. But Ichigo's constant stoppage by trains with Kenpachi a lot too. He achieved it. He just hides it. Kyaku has a Sebo Bankai as well, and Yachiru is a bit stronger. Mayuri and Urahara, they advanced the society pretty quickly, actually, very quickly. Like what we see how advanced it is at the end of the story. It's not that quite yet, but it's getting close to that. Basically, it's caught up with 2003 at this point, or actually 2002. Pretty sure 2002. Yeah, it's 2002. Or actually, It's only been like a few months between the arcs. So they have 1 year between Lost Agent and Substitute Agent, or Lost Agent and Fake Arcoro Town. And then, yeah, I don't know how much time passed between. I think it's maybe like a few months maximum. But yeah, let's keep going, I guess. But yeah, regardless, like it's on par with what year it's in. The division, Rukia trains hard with Renji, sometimes Ichigo. Her and Renji are dating, as before, so training can be a few different things. Rukia's aware for Bankai. Yeah, most likely you can train her a bit with it, but he overall just says no to it. He banned it. You kind of banned it unless she's on her own. Like it's allowed. It's like if you're on your own and you have no other resort power, use it. But other than that, never ever use it. Kind of basically the same for Shinji. As for the Espada, Stark and Lilith became one. But with how much control Stark has over his own has over his own power, he and Lilith they're basically one being. But Stark, regardless, kind of looks like how he usually does. But his hair is actually kind of white now. Kind of how Lilith was. So, hold up. Her hair's more like a greenish white actually, but still. He has the same hair color as her now, at least on his tips for his hair. Hardy Bell, also he also achieved his second resurrection once he had fused with Lilith. Haribel also achieved a second resurrection because training culture in the Espada is very big now because of Grimjow and Ichigo. Haribel's second resurrection and the Queen of Mundo. Grimmjow, second Resurrection, same reason before, very big train culture, plus he trains with Ichigo a lot. Neliel, second Resurrection, a bit behind Grimmjow, but not by a lot. Aeon, aka the Trespecius, they all achieve their own Resurrection, and Aeon is much stronger. Nonchaka and Pesce, they regained their full, except their usual full power forms, and they're a bit stronger, being able to go to 10, like, at maximum, they're like as strong as like Eronero, so about that. Alright, so Ichigo and Keiko, we go on to the beginning of the Lost Agent arc. Ichigo and Keiko are on the roof, chilling out. A lot of that goes to the exact same. We remember he meets Ginjo. Ichigo and Uryu beat up that one guy, Obutsu, I believe his name was. That's a pretty simple thing. Ichigo has the execution card, all that. Ichigo is eventually brought to the execution hideout, because that's kind of just where it all ends up. I think he's at the Lost Agent hideout or the execution hideout. Ginjo and him talk for a bit. Chad's there as well, but Ichigo pulls out his substitution Yami badge and throws it to Ginjo. Ginjo's wondering why Ichigo gave it to him, and he says, "I know who you are." He simply says it like that. I know who you are. Ichigo's confused, wondering if he's in a fight, until Ichigo simply tells him there's no tracker in it. This did confuse Ginjo briefly. But at this point in time where Ichigo came from the part where, or part like basically the year, he basically came at the end, when Can't Fear Your Own World ended. He came from that. He simply tells Ginjo, and nothing happened. It was honestly just a fuck up noble messing with you. It's kind of all it was. Ginjo was confused, so Ichigo simply tells him, there is no tracker. Check it any way you need to. In fact, memories if you need to. Check them if you can. I don't really care, but check the memories, check the badge, do what you need to. Nothing's wrong with Society at this point. After a bit of tests, Ginjo starts realizing that Ichigo's telling the truth, and he is fine. Nothing bad is going on. This did make Ginjo a bit annoyed, but he kind of just fell back into a chair and just says, I did a lot of shit for no reason. Ichigo does give him his Reiatsu seal, but not a lot of it, being because, well, one, actually, you can give him a lot. You can give him how much he needs. His Reiatsu is basically infinite. But he basically gave Ginjo a lot of it, and Ginjo was surprised that Ichigo really gave him power, but it was Ginjo that, he kind of put a bind on it, so to say. It's a lie, but Ginjo can't really doubt Ichigo at this point. Ichigo hasn't really lied to him yet. And it's just Ginjo. If you betray me or the whole society, it kills you. That's all it does. So Tsukishima knows it's a lie, but honestly, he's glad that Ginjo's back on a different path that makes him happy, so to say. So this basically ends the entire Lost Agent arc early. Pause. Okay, so that's New Blood War begins, basically. It's the next arc. So, we first starts off with Ichigo being in his room with Uryu, Chad, Orihime, and a few other friends, and we end up seeing the mysterious man appear on his bed. The guy's name is pretty sure it's Eburn, like one of his names. So he appears in Ichigo's room. Well, Ichigo just glances at him. The guy tries to go to Ichigo, but Ichigo just waves his hand, and a very quick burst of Sero basically blew his head off. It was the end of that immediately. Just that easy. But meanwhile, in this whole society, we end up seeing Chojuro having to fight Driscoll. Meanwhile, Yamamoto deals with guards in his office. Not guards, but Quincy in his office. Chojoro's actually a bit stronger because he trained Yamamoto more often, who trained with Toshijiro upon Ishin's recommendation. Chojuro and Driscoll fight, and Chojuro isn't much stronger than Canon, but the difference is big enough to the point where he does actually kill Driscoll, but he dies in his own fight, or dies in this fight too. Basically, Yamamoto would walk out, seeing the Bankai Clash versus Quincy, and we end up seeing the death of both of those two in the fight. But yeah, Driscoll's dead. But meanwhile, in the in Mundo, we end up seeing Kilgay versus Stark, which turns in quickly to Hardy-Bell and Aeon. As Stark already alone was pushing Kilgay like to his maximum. This Stark is basically the strongest strongest hollow around, like aside from like the one from Can't Fear Your Own World. But as those two fights, Aeon and Hardy-Bell jump in. Grimjow and Nelia and everyone else are handling the other fodder Quincy's. Hardy-Bell and Stark will go into their first resurrection. Aeon goes all out, and these three alone kill Kilgay. But by this point, it basically leads into Ichigo. Wait, so who goes into Society again? No, Mundo. It leads to Ichigo, Trad, Orihime, and Ichigo, Trad, Orihime, a few others heading into Hueco Mundo. By this point, Kilgay is dead. Like, by the time they arrive, the fight is just now over, and Kilgay is dead. Stark was a bit tired, but he said, other than that, it wasn't really a hard fight. In fact, he could have beaten him alone, but he would have probably erased a portion of Hueco Mundo. Not destroy, erased. So, yeah. And now we see the fights in Society when the first attack begins. First fight is actually easier versus Basby. That's the first encounter, actually. Easier being that Shanghai is able to direct Basby's attack, blocking it, and going into Bankai immediately. His Bankai basically increases... His Bankai isn't how a canon one. My Bankai for him is basically the fact that he basically increases everything his blade touches. Which is already the canon thing, sure. But I mean, like, gravity itself can be enhanced. Like, his blade affects everything, like, including the air touches it. Then Basby's very badly injured, but eventually Basby can an attack actually does blow a hole through Kira still, but he does still get defeated. So that ends the fight still, Basby's still winning, but he's definitely injured from the end of the fight. So, yeah. But then we go on to the next fight, being Komamura versus Bambietta. But yeah, much stronger Komamura isn't canon at this point. He still does lose, but Bambietta was surprised at how strong Komamura was. He landed a few good blows on her. And Toshiro himself would fight King Do. This fight is actually in Toshiro's favor, as he does have to fight BG9 as well. Eventually, BG9 does split off, and Toshiro was actually out of guard with the attack. It does not badly wound him, but very badly wound him. But since King Do would then go to also Toshiro's Bankai, from behind, Gin appears, holding in place, and then basically just slits King Do's throat, ending his life immediately. And we end up seeing King Do, not King Do, BG9 is also on the ground, just killed. As he's originally supposed to fight Soifon and Omaida, but, well, Gin Bankai got to him midway through travel. So, yeah. Toshiro with then Gin helps him up, and he just says, no issue. So, yeah, so BG9 was caught off guard by Gin's Bankai, and then little King Do was just caught from behind and had his throat cut by Gin. So, yeah. Byakuya and Renshi versus Asnote. Renshi enters Solo's Abimaru, and we see Byakuya use someone's Kagayoshi. And honestly, for this, they're much stronger than canon at this point, but I see it more of as a draw than an actual loss on either end. Asnote's ability is too strong, but those two are also too strong. Like, if Asnote didn't have the fear and just a lot of energy, those two would win. Individually, they beat him, but he's just too powerful with his ability, and they end up drawing. Lisa fights Robert instead of Shunsui. So she would use her Bankai plus her actually merged powers and actually kill him, but she did actually get pretty badly wounded. Shunsui still lost an eye, but that's where she jumped in. Rukia versus Meninas. This fight, this fight happens. And Rukia being stronger than canon is actually able to kill her. So yeah, Meninas is dead immediately. All I'm looking is we see Rukia flashing her Bankai, and actually kind of just flash towards everyone around her. And she can basically use her Bankai for like intervals. She can basically use it however she pleases, but yeah, it's not really so recommended. She can enter it briefly, then dispel it. If her Bankai is trained, it is just banned. So with the flash of her Bankai, it kills Meninas immediately. As Rukia doesn't really need Bankai to beat her at this point in the story, but if her opponent's saying how strong she is, she just says, easy. Flash the Bankai, end the fight, and then easy as that. Rojo versus Masculine. Which goes the same as canon, but then Rojo would end up merging his Quincy power, not Quincy, his Shinigami and Hollow powers. He fights Master for a bit longer, and fight ends up as a draw once more. Not once more, but ends up as a draw this time around. And Master is basically just exhausted after the end of the fight. And Yamamoto still fights Yuha. But Yamamoto has two hands, he's a bit stronger, and he has, well, his sons by his side. This does lead into Yamamoto's death still, but just in time, Ichigo would arrive, and he clashes blades with Huguram. But Ichigo just tells them he has no interest in fighting someone this week. He rips behind Huguram with his hand drawn, and his hands are covered in blood, as we see Huguram's face covered in one giant scratch mark. Just in time, as Yuha is ready to, attack Ichigo, from behind, we see the entire group of execution and jump in. They'll fight Yuha, and actually he's forced to retreat. Now, he is forced to retreat. Ichigo could have killed him in this fight. Ichigo is that strong. So now Ichigo is actually on par with Yuha. The base version of Yuha, not the Soul King version. Pause. Alright, as for the training with the Zero Division. For this part, honestly, Ichigo does not need to train with them, but he still does go. And they don't have anything to teach him. He just goes through the motions. But Ichigo actually does have an opinion on who should train with them. And people who wants to train with the Zero Division consist of Byakuya, Renji, those still go, Rukia still goes. But also, he recommends Ginjo, Toshiro, and Grimjo and Neliel. Those 7. And the division actually does accept it for Ichigo just lists why, which I don't need to say right now, but they agree. Chad or he may step off to actually train with the other Fullbringers. Tsukishima is going to train Chad himself, though. Pause. So, yeah. Kenpachi and Unohana still fight, but at this point, Kenpachi reveals he already has a Shikai, and he didn't even need to kill Unohana to achieve his full power. Ichigo's constant presence in his life as a fighter helped him achieve that. In fact, training Unohana might actually allow him to achieve his Bankai's first steps, but even then, someone would have to talk him down from Bankai, or fight him until the time limit ends up stopping. And someone is going to be Ichigo again, who jumps down to go fight Kenpachi until his Bankai time's out. Let's say he didn't kill Unohana, but she's still badly wounded and kind of out of commission as a fighter now. Kuromura confronts the elder of his clan, and, yeah. But, hold up. Sorry. Okay, so eventually the final war does begin. Or final encounter begins. Everyone's dragged into the shadow area, and the first fight is Toshiro versus Baz B. Our first encounter is that. But Toshiro at this point still has his Bankai. He's stronger and he's more on guard. Toshiro goes and moves Bankai, fights Baz B, and Rangiku's help, he actually wins. As Rangiku would use her Bankai, and basically just... I'm taking inspiration from the sand motherfucker from Mundo. Once the sand, she says the blade completely turns into ash, and she has complete control over that. Using Baz B's own plan against him, she would cover his surrounding area in ash, and it bursts in flames, burning him badly. With him being burned badly, Toshiro catches him off guard with his Bankai and beats him. And he likely dies, so, yeah. Kuromura and Tosen fight Miyeta as he was let out of jail or prison to fight. Kuromura didn't need to go all out. He just trained for a bit, and he's ready to go all out should he need to. Looking at Miyeta, she thinks Kuromura's going to be another easy fight, but then Tosen jumps in, and immediately she's covered in Dome of Darkness. She's attacked randomly until she eventually blasts her way out of the Bankai, But just then, she grabbed at the arm, she turns around, and then her head is lopped off by Komamura, who had just enough time to recover. And Tosen didn't even go all out, he was just distracting her so Komamura could recover. Renji fights Masculine. At this point, we still see Rojiro is alive, he healed due to his hollow abilities, but he's just out of commission. And Renji is much stronger at this point due to training with the Zero Division. And he pretty much just clears Mask with no difficulty at all. Like they say the fight can 10 minutes. Here, 4, 6 maximum. 4 minimum. So Mask is beaten a lot easier and for a short amount of time. Rojiro finishes him off because he wanted his get back. Rukia fights Asnote. She didn't even need to be told about Byakuya. She was just ready to fight whoever was in her path. And once Byakuya saw it was Asnote, she just walked away. Don't you know she can handle it on her own. And she does just that. Yeah, so she handles business. Then we see Gwenail, or Gwenail, that guy's name, the Vanishing. Yachiru is gone. She vanished. One of the ones who learned his Bankai. So in this one, the ones who fight him, or finding him first, are Dodonchaka and Pesce, who find him by accident. Pesce spins around seeing him and says, "Wait, who are you?" And to just punch him in the face and he went flying back. But he sent him flying into Dodonchaka, who basically just bit him in the shoulder full force. As they're still in their weird Arankar forms, not their true forms. Their bangs are turned off. But they caught him off guard, and with that, he got injured badly. But he realizes that they're hollows, and realized he was now poisoned because of Dodonchaka biting him. He tried to fight them both, but his poisoning kept basically ruining his his ability. And eventually, this leaded to Pesce going into his usual form, and with his Zanpakuto, he would just cut off Gwenail's head. Easy as that. And that's how Gremmy has to fight Zaraki. As he did try to attack Dodonchaka and Pesce, but Zaraki jumped on the scene, ready to fight because he's been looking for a good opponent, and Gremmy happened to be in his path of a rampage hoping for someone strong, as he was the authority the entire time. He was cutting down fodder. Right as Gremmy was about to attack Pesce and Dodonchaka, he's dropped in the side by Kenpachi. And these two fights with Kenpachi sticking to his base state, cutting apart the meteor without even using his Bankai. Back to the point where Gremmy demands Kenpachi go all out because he knows he's holding back. But using the Bankai, and what he does, when he glanced at Remy, he appeared behind him and cut him to pieces so fast that Gremmy couldn't even process it. The point where Gremmy died because his brain was just too slow to process what just happened. Couldn't imagine himself being alive, couldn't imagine himself breathing. He died that fast. Kenpachi totally crawled out of his Bankai state, but his body was just trying to stay in it. It took him forever to de-Bankai. But he did it. But just in time he's attacked by Candace and Giselle, but from below we see Haribel fire a giant blast at them both, sending them flying back. And she says to Kenpachi, well, he calms down and she'll fight them. As she's at full power now, she's fine. Pause.